Hello, my name is Jonathan Walston. This is for Ftt211, 1911 Advanced Armor. It is February 15th, 2026, and we're going to be going over some additional trigger work and assessments on what we've already done, as well as a couple of new things. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First things first, did shoot the gun yesterday, so she's a little grimy, but I just want to show she's clear. And the feed source is removed. So the first thing we're going to be going over today is the trigger work and when it is necessary or should be performed and when it should not be performed. So I don't have a trigger gauge, but typically these triggers you want in that 4 to 6 pound range for like duty carry, anything more sensitive, and you might end up with accidental discharges or lose your drop safe capability. So you primarily want to perform trigger work when you're trying to get that trigger more sensitive down to that 4 poundish range. And primarily if you have any physical obstructions, hang ups, stuff like that. But if your trigger's already measuring in at between like 3.5, 4 pounds, it's not really something that you should be doing for an everyday carry. Um, and you know, as far as improper trigger work, removing too much material, getting yourself in a position where you've removed too much material, or overbent a spring and made that trigger too sensitive. These can be avoided by having the proper jigs and measuring tools, as well as taking it very slowly. So now we're going to disassemble this, and we're going to analyze the fitment interaction of specific components in the fire control group and see what we're looking at. Alright, so this is one way that I've discovered to assess this engagement here, and one of the things that we're trying to do here is check this our components and see how they're set up. So we just take the pins and flip them over, and then we can have we can look at it from the outside looking in. I'm not going to do any more to these, but the way these surfaces engage is crucial to the sensitivity of that trigger, as well as safety. Because if this is too short and if you drop it, you could end up with an accidental discharge. So being able to look at it from the outside helps in assessing that. And then the other thing is the jigs that we need. So really like a sear jig, so that we could properly remove the right amount of material and get the right engagement. That's what I would do before doing any more of these, and I do believe they are essential for safety and really fine-tuning exactly what you want to get out of the gun. But yeah, that's a good way to look at things on the outside. So we're going to go ahead and pull these out, and we're going to deburr the trigger track. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to go inside this track right here, and I've already smoothed the edges of this, polished these edges really finely, and I'm going to probably not remove any more material from that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus entirely on deburring these trigger tracks, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to lay this stone in this track and you're going to deburr it. And you can feel some grittiness in there, and we're just going to remove that essentially. Just do that for a little while, and then we'll move on to part 3 and we'll show you a functions check. alteration that I made was actually bending the sear back. The farther back, you get a little bit lighter trigger there. So we actually moved this sear spring here to the rear. Another thing was the fitment here and engagement here, which once again, without the jig, I don't want to really do much more than polish that. But we did go ahead and remove a tiny, or bend the spring back just a tiny little bit. Alright, so the firearm is clear. They do a function check. Alright, and we got our dummy rounds. Undo. Oh, didn't rag it hard enough. Seems to be functioning good. That was operator error. So just to go over a few things real quick now that we're done with that. One of the things that I would modify with this in the future is now the aftermarket is pretty available to do, to get an aftermarket 1911A1 slide that's pre-cut and a barrel that's ported. With the Snappy 45 cartridge, I think that would be a good opportunity. As far as affordability goes, probably the first thing I would do is get some really heavy rubberized grips, maybe with a finger groove, to really improve the hold you have on this platform. I would also consider doing a extended slide release, maybe an extended mag release, and maybe a little bit extended safety. But other than that, I haven't had any like hammer bite problems or crazy functionality problems, so I'd probably go that route. And maybe respring it, and put that compensator, or not compensator, but ported barrel on it. I'm a big fan of running a good port on a gun, especially something as snappy as this one. But as far as additional modifications, I think that would be the best way to go. But yeah, that's what I would do.